I believe being racist is a learned behavior because of different stereotypes that the media and that parents give to their kids. I also believe being racist is a learned behavior because I don't think that there's anything inside of the human brain that is genetically programmed to be racist.
Is racism a learned behavior? And I say it is. You're not born thinking because you're white that you're better than him. Like, you learn that over time by the people that raise you, the people in your neighborhood, like your influences in life. And so, with that being said, you're not born with the thought process of being better than somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's developed into you, it's instilled into you. So over time, it's not when you're born, oh, I'm better than him because I'm white, but it becomes you're better than him because you're white. Like,
Racism is a learned behavior. For a learned behavior is the product of an individual's observation. In my early childhood, I was raised in a Christian based home where we were taught to treat your neighbor right, do unto others as you have them to do unto you. In today's society, what is instilled in children and adolescent minds is what they're exemplifying when they go out into the public. So yes, I do believe that racism is a learned behavior.
Growing up in the rural South, I was always taught by my grandparents never to judge a person by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. A very cliche statement, especially growing up in a African American household, with grandparents who believed in the movement of Martin Luther King based on racism and prejudice in America. So as I matriculated through college, both undergrad and graduate school, I always treated people with the same dignity and respect that my grandparents instilled in me. Never to judge a person based on the color of their skin or their social economic status. Mazarina Banji, a Harvard psychologist, did a study, and this research study showed that adolescents at the age of 3 years old quickly pick up on the characteristics of their parents. That study shows that behavior is taught by the child's parents. Again, the child picks up on the characteristics of their parents, be it positively or negatively, if it impacts the child's lives. I feel like sometimes this racism and prejudice, it's a generational thing, and it's up to the child or the offspring to break that generational curse. You know, I look back at Robert E. Lee, a Confederate soldier who led the Confederate Army on a number of racial divisive movements, and now you have a grandchild who is now trying to break that generational curse by participating in things like the Martin Luther King Remembrance Service at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where he's very vocal and apologetic about his great-grandfather's racial bias towards African American. Again, this is something that is generational, and this grandchild of Robert E. Lee is now breaking this generational curse by now embracing individuals, both African Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, all races, based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin.
Let's talk about the learned behavior of racism. The older we get, the more we realize that racism is like a foreign language. It is taught to us. We are used to hearing it in our households, around our peers, our classmates, our relatives. So in order for us to pick up a foreign language or a personality such as racism, we emulate what we see. A lot of children are raised in an atmosphere of racism, but they choose as they get older, who am I? Am I going to be like my ancestors? Or am I going to be who is right? When it comes to racism, it is a form of spirit that one takes on. They actually don't know what to do with it because they've been taught this for so long that they actually don't know how to handle it. Is this who I'm going to be for the rest of my life? This does not make me feel good. It's up to the individual. If you allow someone else to control your mind, and that is placing things in your mind that there's no place for, that's kind of belittling you. Because I've seen it, I've heard it, I've read about it. Thank you, God, I didn't have to live through it. But I choose the right way. Just because white people treated our ancestors a certain way does not mean for me to hate them. Because that was a different time, a different era.